let me ask Eric to tell us himself. He's the co-host of America's Untold Stories and the host of Unstructured. Well, we're structured, but we like untold stories, Eric. So thanks for joining us. Tell us where you fit into this story, as well as describing to those who may not know, this is a global audience, what actually happened that fateful day.
Okay, good. Thank you for having me. Ironically, the story is tied in with my channel, America's Untold Stories with Mark Robert. The shooting occurred October 21st, 2021, and that was the day before I recreated our channel. So our channel kind of coincided with the incident actually happening. Mark is a scriptwriter and has worked with the likes of Oliver Stone, and being around Hollywood, he said, hey, you know what, let's do one episode covering this whole Alec Baldwin shooting. It was all over the news, so we decided to cover it. It was going to be a one-off story. The story grew legs, however, and it is a confusing, utter mess. If I'm going to take you through the day very quickly, essentially, the morning of the shooting, the film crew walked off the set. Everyone except for Helena Hutchins, the director of photography, and of course her lighting people. Because these people were off the set and there were COVID protocols, some things got a little awry. They were setting up a shot for something that was going to happen that afternoon or the following morning of the biggest scene in the movie, which was a big shootout inside of a church. And she was inside of the church asking Alec Baldwin to essentially frame out his gun for the shot. Now, the armorer at the time, Hannah Gutierrez-Reed, was not allowed to be there because of COVID protocols. And this is a very important consideration. And there's also controversy over her having more than one job. She was also an assistant props person. But between her and the first assistant director and Alec Baldwin had the gun. Helena Hutchins, who should not have been in the church, she should have actually been outside viewing the scene through something called Video Village. Video Village is like a monitoring station where they will remotely look at what's going on in the shot. Because the camera crew walked off due to safety concerns and other concerns, the Video Village operator was not there. That put her inside the building. So she was behind the camera. He points the gun at the camera. He claims he didn't pull the trigger, another controversy, but a bullet fired from that gun. It went through Helena Hutchins, killing her soon thereafter and into the director, Joel Sousa.
So I'll come to that, magic bullet in a minute, a bullet that came out of a gun that wasn't triggered and went into two people. But from the story that you've described so far, there would appear to be a bit of cheapskating and a bit of hysteria over COVID protocols, when the safety of someone, the life of someone, was cost by someone not being allowed to be there because of COVID. That doesn't make a lot of sense. Or was the production company trying to save dollars? Were they trying to maximize profits, squeeze costs? What lies behind?
All the above. That's why this is such a terrible disaster. This is an independent run and gun production. And I'm not trying to be pun, that's a terrible pun, but they're filming in New Mexico, extremely low budget. They only had a few $1 million. Alec Baldwin, keep in mind, is an A-list actor. And I think his salary for the movie was around $200,000. He could have easily asked for $2 million or more. So that gives you an idea of how low budget this really was. So were they trying to save money? Absolutely. The armorer that they had hired, Hannah Gutierrez-Reed, had only done one previous movie. She kind of got hired because of nepotism. Her father is Thel Reed, who is a legendary armorer and gunfighter, gunslinger type. He would do tricks with guns that would blow your mind, on Ed Sullivan all the way through history. One of the top quick draw artists in the world. So his reputation helped her because she would kind of hang out with him when she was a kid on the sets, and he did teach her a lot. But they also wanted her to be a props assistant. There were only so many days in the budget for, quote, gun days, for armorer work. So they, threw on another job so she could get a little bit more money. That's even more of the controversy, because I broke the email, or we did, where the line producer was complaining to Hannah Reed that she was spending too much time on guns and too little time on props. The ironies that come forth in this situation are countless.
Some of us are having difficulty, me included. In full disclosure, Alec Baldwin is a friend of mine. I'm struggling with the idea that an actor who's given a gun on a film set could conceivably know that there was a live bullet inside it. Whoever's fault that there was a live bullet inside it, it wasn't Alex, was it?
That's where we get into the weeds. You did ask the most important question of the entire affair that I think is being overlooked by the prosecution, or at least not advertised by the prosecution and the investigation. Where did the live ammo come from? If that was a dummy round, which it was supposed to be, nothing would matter. It would all be, okay, whatever, nothing, a click. If it was a blank, there would have been a bang. People might have been startled, but there would be no death here. There should have been no live ammunition on the set. So that is a giant question. We don't have answers for that. I can speculate on it, but I won't speculate completely because I don't like to get too far into pointing a finger without actual evidence. Things have gotten, really hedgy on this thing.
Well, yeah, they have. That's why we're talking about it. So what stage is this all at now? Who's been charged with what?
That's where it gets confusing too. But right now, the people who were charged were Alec Baldwin, Dave Halls, and Hannah Gutierrez Reed. And that would be the lead, Alec Baldwin, who did have the gun. The first assistant director, who is considered the safety officer on this set, who handed it to Baldwin or didn't. We don't know for sure because Baldwin has contradicted himself on that. And Hannah Reed, the armorer. Those are the three charged. Now, Dave Halls copped a plea. So he is the only one who's actually been convicted. He pleaded out a sentence. He's not serving any time. I forget, he's being fined, and he has a record, and he's under supervision for X amount of time. I don't have that down. Alec Baldwin and Hannah were charged the same with negligent homicide and a enhancement charge because there was a weapon involved. Then things went crazy again. Alec Baldwin has an amazing legal team, very powerful, and they are not asleep. They're earning their money, and they essentially have shredded the case. There was initially a special prosecutor brought on who was also in the state legislature. She was brought on before she got voted into the state legislature. Alec Baldwin's team went after that fact and said, hey, you can't be a member of the legislature and acting on part of a DA. You're going into two parts of the government here. There's two branches. There's a problem. And they claimed it wasn't an issue, but she ultimately resigned. They also attacked the enhancement charges because it turns out the enhancement charges were written into law after the shooting even took place. So you can't charge somebody with a law that didn't exist when they did the crime. So that got thrown out. So then it's been taken down to only involuntary manslaughter, a negligence charge. But it went one step further, and Alec Baldwin's charges have been dismissed. Not with prejudice, though, so he is not out of the woods completely, but they have dismissed his charges on the theory that the gun had been modified before he even got it, which is incredibly troubling and confusing because the guns went to the FBI. And the FBI stated that they had not been modified, that they were in perfect working condition. And there's a chain of custody from the manufacturer to the set. So again, it's confusing. So right now, the charges are against Hannah Gutierrez-Reed for the involuntary manslaughter. And they added another charge of trying to withhold or hide evidence, claiming that she was hiding drugs. And I believe by rumor, it's the white powder, the special white powder that you find in the White House.
Well, I was just about to say that, the kind of stuff that you find lying around in the Situation Room in the White House. What has this done for Alec Baldwin? Will he ever work again? How damaging has it all been for him?
He's been working this whole time. He filmed Rust. Rust has actually been filmed. It's in the can. I don't know if they're editing it or whatever, but all the filming took place in April. The charges against him being dismissed lined up the day before it filmed. So take it where you will. He's also in another movie coming up called Kent State. And judging from what I've seen in your past, that might be something you're interested in, the state of what happened in the United States and Ohio during Vietnam protests with the students that got shot down by the National Guard. He's in that movie coming up. He did, I think, 2 other movies while this has been going on. I mean, we're going on 2 years now. This is a long slog.
Well, I'm unfortunately old enough to have seen the Kent State massacre in real time. And there were plenty of intentional shooting of live bullets in that. Eric, thanks for joining us on the mother of all talk shows. It's your first time. I hope it isn't your last. It's been fascinating talking to you.